Tonight, a man has been charged with attempted murder after a snowmobiler was injured on the West Coast last month. That story and
new deals have been made at the seafood show in Boston.
Diversification for Newfoundland companies has been successful.
But I can tell you that there are at least 2 or 3 companies as of yesterday that had made some pretty good deals.
We're just finding other markets that, there's other places in the world that buy what we grow.
We hear from Newfoundland and Labrador and Nova Scotia on why that means hope during these turbulent times. I'm Layla Beaudoin in Boston, and that story is coming up.
Mild temperatures and a short season didn't stop the Airport Nordic Ski Club from opening its new hut this year.
We had a tremendous amount of support from ACOA, from the provincial government, Newfoundland and Labrador, and from our local community.
That story tonight on Here and Now.
This is CBC Here and Now.
good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We begin tonight with an update on the incident in Port last month that left a snowmobiler with life-threatening injuries. Now a man has been charged with attempted murder. 66-year-old Wayne Harold Hines was arrested in his Port West home yesterday and is being held in custody. The RCMP had searched his home late last month and seized a number of items. A snowmobiler fell off his machine on Gravels Pond in Port on February 21st and sustained serious injuries. According to the RCMP Major Crimes Unit, those injuries were not consistent with the fall. Meantime, the RCMP has not released any further information on what happened or what items were seized. Hines appeared in provincial court earlier today via teleconference. His next court appearance is scheduled for tomorrow. To Boston now, where buyers and sellers are taking part in Day 2 of North America's largest seafood expo. Top of mind for many are looming U.S. tariffs on seafood products from this country. But as CBC's Layla Beaudoin reports, industry leaders are busy making new connections.
The Boston Seafood Expo, it's massive, with giants of the industry all under one roof, offering plenty of new business connections. Meetings are still ongoing, but what about Atlantic Canadians wanting to tap into other markets? We've been told so far, so good.
We try not to bring it up, but it's affecting it a lot because 55% of our product comes to the U.S. We're just finding other markets that, there's other places in the world that buy what we grow. So we'll get there eventually. It just might take a bit of time.
Robert sells oysters out of Triton, and he says for his Newfoundland-based production, there are options outside of the U.S. And Newfoundland and Labrador's fishery minister says the expo has already been a success.
Diversification for Newfoundland companies has been successful. I'll leave that to the companies to unfold as they sign those final contracts. But we have had success in developing new markets in different continents.
And his Nova Scotia counterpart agrees. There's an appetite for what's coming out of the Northwest Atlantic.
I don't want to steal anyone's thunder by sharing news that is proprietary to a company, but I can tell you that there are at least 2 or 3 companies as of yesterday that had made some pretty good deals outside of the U.S. and outside of China. So really good optimism that the market diversification that we've been working on for a long time is starting to pay dividends. The reality is the U.S. can't supply their own people with enough food to sustain what they need, and they need us to help in that regard.
And producers from his province are also trying to build new relationships.
We've been speaking with some of our partners in Mexico and in some other islands. So yeah, it's going well. Our most important market is in the U.S. So of course our markets outside, say in some of the Caribbean islands like Dominican Republic or Barbados or Trinidad, they become more important, with the uncertainty here in the U.S.
We're in a lot of supermarket chains and Costco and restaurants and everything. So this is the value-added division of our company. We produce a lot of codfish. It's our #1 species.
So just how close is that American-Canadian relationship? Well, this Alaskan business owner says, like anything in the fishery, it runs deep.
We have a great allegiance with our Canadian friends, our Canadian fishermen. We have a very strong bond with them. From the fishing side, we really are trying to do our best to manage through this.
For industry stakeholders on both sides of the Canada-U.S. border and beyond, talks continue tomorrow on the last day of North America's biggest seafood expo. Lila Baudouin, CBC News, Boston.
Police are investigating a fire at a home on Balleen Line in Torbay last week that left 2 residents displaced and 1 animal missing. Firefighters arrived at the home shortly after 6 p.m. on Friday. According to the chief, the fire caused extensive damage to the house, including a collapsed roof. While no one was injured, an animal is still missing. The fire also caused a traffic disruption in the town, as well as low water pressure and discoloration. The RNC is now investigating what caused the fire. And the province is warning poultry owners of a suspected case of bird flu in Conception Bay South. According to a release late Friday night, animal health officials with the Department of Fisheries, Forestry and Agriculture have reported the possible case of avian influenza in a domestic flock to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. All commercial and backyard poultry producers, regardless of the size of their flock, are urged to review the agency's biosecurity measures to ensure flocks are protected from exposure to wild birds or other animals. And in other news, you might have seen a lot of green out there today as people across the province celebrated St. Patrick's Day. And in downtown St. John's, there's not one greener place to be than O'Reilly's, where crowds started gathering early this morning for the annual Breakfast Bash. And this year marks the 29th St. Patrick's Day for the pub.
Lots of good food, cold beer, good times.
We look forward to it every year. We make a joke here that we practice every day for St. Paddy's. So the big day is finally here. It's like Christmas Day to us. There's a bunch of people that buy tickets early. We put them up for sale usually before Christmas because we thought, what a nice Christmas gift to give somebody or a stocking stuffer or whatever. But the diehards, the people that come every year, they jump on them and buy the tickets and get their secured spot. So that's really, really cool that they come back every year.
I just like the atmosphere. It's alive down here. People are having a great time, out for a good time. The music is fabulous. Just a great time overall.
On Friday night we had a practice your paddy. We did some carvery lunches on Friday and Saturday, which is a very traditional thing in Ireland in the pubs. And then on Sunday we did our brunch with the Mashless Men. So they were our signature events. And then of course today we're doing our breakfast, our annual St. Patrick's Day breakfast with Fergus Byrne and his son Fergus Brown of Byrne. And Fergus has been playing O'Reilly's breakfast since we opened. Well, of course, 50% of us are of Irish descent, so we come to it naturally. And I think the music, we grew up with this music, right? So, and we've got our own music as well. Besides the Irish music, we've got the Newfoundland music, and they do meld together quite well. Folk music as well. So I think it's the music really that it's the most thing that we like as Newfoundlanders. But of course, look at me, I got red hair. My last name's O'Reilly. It's more common to find Irish people here than not. So I think it's just our culture.
Well, people in Happy Valley Goose Bay also joined the St. Patrick's Day celebrations, and at one butcher shop in the community, customers could enjoy the taste and sound of Ireland.
We really wanted to give people the opportunity to come together. There's lots of people here that, connect with the Irish traditions, that have family going back a few generations that are originally from Ireland, especially with the connection Newfoundland. So I thought it was important today that we don't forget the day and we allow people to get together and listen to some music. And the name More is a really interesting story. So More is the Irish word for big. So we wanted a name that was going to represent Ireland and Labrador. We've lived in Labrador for the last 12 years. So we're from Tullamore in Ireland, right in the centre of Ireland. So our daughter actually came up with the name. So More meets More as in big. Oh, it means so much. My sisters live across the world too. So I have a sister in Toronto, I have a sister in Australia, my parents are in Ireland. So they all get to enjoy St. Patrick's Day with parades, with get-togethers. And for the last 12 years, we haven't had that luxury. So it's really, really important to us that we celebrate it, that we keep the tradition alive, and that we bring together people so that they get to enjoy Irish food, really enjoy Irish music, and just be together on this special day.
Oh, it's really special to be able to do it here. I grew up listening to it, and there's not usually a lot of stuff going on Paddy's Day weekend in Goose Bay, so it's like really nice to be able to come out and actually get to listen to some music and get out to an event.
Well, it's been a long time coming, but Gander's cross-country ski club now has a new space. The Airport Nordic Ski Club has completed a major renovation that came in at $500,000. And as Here and Now's Troy Turner reports, it's a sign of the club's growing membership.
This hut was originally 200 feet further down the hill. It was moved up the hill and raised to make room for the basement downstairs.
The building, or hut as they call it, has doubled its size. Major new features include hot and cold running water and a functioning kitchen.
During COVID, we didn't have anything in the way of sanitary features around the hut. It was just, we had an outhouse situation. We didn't even have any hot and cold running water. So that was part of the consideration.
Costs of the major renovation were shared between ACOA, the provincial government, and the club.
We've had growing membership over the years, and it's just part of a normal transition, moving from a small hut with just maybe a couple of small club with a couple dozen members through to several hundred, and you want to offer more services for more folks as time progresses, and this was like a natural progression.
The new hut has been open since the beginning of this season, a welcome addition to the club.
So this is our equipment storage area, where we have a complete suite of classic skis and skate skis, and we also have snowshoes stored in here in our waxing room. And we have enough gear here for multiple families on any given day to come in for rentals. This is a nice open area here for getting your gear on, putting your boots, and just getting ready. In support of this, we have multiple change rooms in the hut, all heated, and a complete suite of men's and women's washrooms as well. We've had an amazing feedback on the beauty of the building. It's when people first see it, they're kind of taken aback by it, because most people aren't even aware that this is on the go.
Mother Nature has forced an early closure of the trails this season because of the mild temperatures. However, Airport Nordic will be inviting the public and its members to an official opening of the hut at a later date. Troy Turner, CBC News, Gander.
Tomorrow on Here and Now, the St. John's Curling Club has the only curling sheets east of Gander, and the house is jammed.
The club is overflowing with members.
It's hard to get ice time, and most of the leagues are full capacity.
Like schools want to come here, bring the kids. Sorry. So in that regard, it's frustrating. We're stuck. We cannot grow.
So in a province that loves curling and produced one of the world's greatest curling teams, why aren't there more places to curl? That story tomorrow, only on Here and Now.
Well, I don't know about you, but today's temperatures made me get very excited for gardening season. I know it's far away, but definitely warmer today. Southerly flow, the story for a good chunk of the island. We definitely have that colder air, though, moving back in up across Labrador. That will be the story as we head through tonight. And then we've got a wintry mix, the tale of two seasons, really. To the north, we're going to see those much colder temperatures. To the south, we're going to hang on to the warmth, but there is going to be some wintry weather in between. I'll get into all the details coming up.
Let's head back to Boston now and the annual Seafood Expo. The threat of U.S. tariffs is hanging over the conference center as many fear there will be negative impacts on both sides of the border. The CBC's Layla Baudouin spoke with harvesters and processors.
It's all about the ocean and the seafood that comes with it, with the world's buyers and sellers all under one roof. And for Canadians, it's very intense as these negotiations and trade meetings continue. We heard from Bernadette Jordan, who said, look, we are in this together. That's Canada's representative here in Boston, speaking to the delicate relationship at risk here.
It's going to be significant. You know, New England gets an awful lot of its energy from Canada. They get their gas in their cars from Canada. They get their home heating. They get their malt and barley for craft beer. You know, there's an awful lot of trade between the two countries, and it is going to impact consumers.
Think about it. Fish caught in Newfoundland and Labrador or in Nova Scotia sold to the U.S. and then back to us. So they're working together, those relationships at the heart of these discussions.
So right behind you here, this is Sambro, just outside of Halifax. We have a fish plant there. The lifeblood of the community is the seafood business. We purchase directly from harvesters. We employ about 25 to 30 people in different times of the year. And yeah, I mean, this show is very important because it's for a chance for us to meet customers that, for the most part, we speak to on the phone all year.
If those tariffs from China and the United States do go through, how would it impact communities like this one?
Look, I mean, this is a question everybody is trying to figure out the answer to. The seafood industry's never experienced it on any real scale with the U.S. So, I mean, I'm a young guy. I've only been in this business a few years, but working with the experienced leaders that I deal with, they don't have the answer to that question. I mean, what we think will happen is it will impact the margins that processors, dealers, everybody involved are making, and then, frankly, the harvester. And if we're selling something for $10 and they're and returning them a short price based on that sale price, that's not a good price anymore because we're getting a $2.50 tariff right off the top.
I spoke to one fisherman from New Brunswick and he said, our community cannot take any more.
Feeling is, most of it is a negative feeling, like, scared, if I can use a word. And I'm talking as a fisherman's point of view, but you have the wharf workers, unloaders, fish plants, their truckers, everybody in that chain. It's a chain reaction. That's what it's going to cause. Something done this year might have repercussions for the next 5, 10, 20 years. Who knows?
So it's clear no matter what happens next, Canadians, particularly Atlantic Canadians, are bracing for impact. Layla Baudouin, CBC News, Boston.
And still with this story, the Barrie Group of Companies is one of this province's representatives at the Expo. And in a conversation with Layla Baudouin, they echoed those concerns about tariffs.
I mean, it's always going to be a big concern right now. Obviously, no one really knows what's going to be happening. I mean, we're told April 2nd, be aware. Will that happen? Will it change? It may change many times between now and then. Everyone's really nervous. It's always going to be a topic of conversation.
We were told over and over again it's a relationship with the American customer that's going to change things. What does Barrie Group think of that? Do you think that, yes, Americans love our seafood products, but could that influence the 25%, or is it more of paying more for our products potentially?
It could be a bit of both. I mean, we've got a lot of long-standing customers. People in the U.S. love Canadian lobster and seafood and crab. I think they're going to be buying anyway. It's just a matter of having those conversations. How do we continue to do the business?
And those conversations are happening here.
They are, yes. This is still early in the show. I mean, we just kind of started up this morning, so haven't had too many conversations about that yet, but it will progress throughout the weekend.
With fur farming over 40 years, with all the dust and all of the fur and things in the sheds and so on and so forth, that was the start of it.
While he waits for a double lung transplant, this well-known marine search and rescue advocate is raising awareness about another kind of safety issue. Ashley, it was so mild out there today. You mentioned earlier that it got you thinking about gardening. It did for me too. I'm already like planning things I want to grow. It just gets you in the mood, you know?
It really does. And I know that this is obviously not the start of spring, but
Far from it, yeah.
but it certainly feels like it. And whatever makes you happy, I guess, today. But yeah, let's take a look at what's going on out there. We have a ridge of high pressure to our south, one to our west, and an area of low pressure to the north with a couple of fronts associated with it. And that really is, like I said earlier, telling this tale of two seasons in behind this area of low pressure. This cold front, rather, we've got much colder air that is going to move in as we head through tonight. And then we've got that much milder air well to the south. And that is generally going to continue, at least for some of us, as we head through the next couple of days. Certainly a little bit of a tricky forecast, depending on where you are across the province. Everyone is going to see something different. Taking a look out there now, a little cloud cover. We did see some sunshine about an hour ago. Still sitting at 10 degrees. And a little bit of westerly winds gusting anywhere from 50 to as much as 60 kilometers per hour. And we do have that milder air continuing for a lot of other places too. Gander, 12 degrees. That's the hot spot at the moment. You're tied with Corner Brook at plus 12. Up across Labrador, we've got temperatures in the minus single digits for Lab West. And then you head towards Happy Valley Goose Bay. You're sitting at plus 9. So certainly as that cold front continues to move through, though, you are going to see your temperatures drop quite significantly as we head through the evening and overnight. So we are starting to see some showers for parts of the island. In onshore flow, though, those of you along the south coast are going to continue to see some drizzle. That will be the story tonight, along with some fog patches. Don't expect that to end anytime soon. And that will, like I said, continue as we head through tomorrow. That front will bring some showers to most of the northern peninsula, parts of the west coast as we head through the overnight and as we get into tomorrow morning. Early tomorrow morning, looking at the potential for some freezing rain, especially for those of you right along the strait there. And you could see some ice pellets. This is the wintry mix that I was talking about. This front will essentially stall here for a good chunk of the day tomorrow. But take a look at this temperature difference. This is just for tonight. 7 degrees in St. John's, -2 along the strait. And then you've got Lab City sitting at -22 overnight tonight. And again, those areas along the southern portion of the island, we'll see those temperatures hang out in the single digits just barely as we head through tomorrow because of that southerly flow. Now, we're going to see that wintry mix for the northern peninsula. So you're looking at that rain changing over to some freezing rain, potentially some ice pellets, and then eventually some snow as well. As we head into the afternoon, areas on the west coast will start to see that. And then pay attention to the southwest coast. You're also looking at that transition that will happen later on in the afternoon. And then eventually towards the evening and overnight, we'll see that head towards central areas of the island and along the northeast coast. So we could be talking about extended periods of some freezing rain as those temperatures drop. And then in behind that, we'll eventually see some clearing. But yes, temperatures will go down dramatically, especially through the overnight. And then this front will eventually continue to work its way east, bringing along that potential for some freezing rain. Again, for the northern Avalon, we may see some extended periods of freezing rain through the day on Wednesday. This is just a map to show you who could see the most. We could be talking about 2 to 5 millimeters of freezing rain by the time we get into Wednesday morning, and then that will continue to work its way east through the day, again, reaching the northern Avalon by most of the afternoon, for most of the afternoon on Wednesday. Temperatures tomorrow. Again, very dramatic difference. Now, temperatures in St. John's, likely 12, maybe 13 degrees. Those of you that are closer to the ocean will likely see those temperatures top out in the single digits. Along the south coast as well, onshore drizzle will keep your, and your temperatures will stay quite cool at about 5 degrees. Central 14. As you head towards the west coast, temperatures will hang out in single digits, but as that front moves through, they will drop. Note St. Anthony, -4 for most of the afternoon tomorrow. Then for Labrador, your temperatures are going to sit generally in the minus single digits through the day, even towards the southeast, where your daytime highs will be about -2 or -3. But again, you're looking at that potential for some flurries through the day as well. So we do have a bit of a roller coaster in temperatures. It wouldn't be spring if that wasn't in my vocabulary. I'll talk about that a little later.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, for the Iranian community here in this province, this coming Thursday marks Nowruz, or Iranian New Year. But an event at the Memorial University campus in St. John's yesterday already celebrated the country's culture with music, arts, and food.
So today we are celebrating Nowruz, New Year. It is an Iranian New Year, and we are celebrating that. So New Year and Nowruz is actually means a lot to us because it is the beginning of the spring and beginning of the year for us, and it's all about the nature, family, joy, and getting together. When we get together with the family and friends, so we might have a lunch, a Nowruz lunch or dinner, because the time of the beginning of the year and the Nowruz is different. Usually it's going to be the fish and rice. We had another Nowruz festival that was the very first Nowruz festival in St. John's and in Newfoundland and Labrador that we had it last year. This year it's the second year, but it is like a bigger. We have lots of people, vendors, and we have lots of performance and everything. So it is our second year. So it was not easy. But eventually we have 3 active non-profit organizations here, Iranian, Iranian Moms NL, and also Iran Alliance. So we actually try to do a kind of partnership together and work together to make this happen. This celebration and Nowruz means a lot to us because it is one of the traditions that we really want to keep it alive for ourselves, for the next generation, for our kids, and it's very important for us because celebrating Nowruz can help us to stay connected with the community while we are sharing our tradition, our culture with the others, and also, as I mentioned, we can pass those kind of tradition to our next generation.
Well, Merv Wiseman spent many years advocating for marine safety in this province, and now there's an effort underway to help him get through a personal health crisis. He's a familiar face to longtime viewers of this program. Wiseman spent 35 years with the Coast Guard and has done countless interviews. He's been outspoken about many issues, particularly marine safety, and now he's dealing with the diagnosis of pulmonary fibrosis, a potentially fatal illness. He's on the wait list for a double lung transplant in Toronto, and a fundraising effort is underway to help him with the expense of relocating while he's waiting for those new lungs. Merv Wiseman joins me now from his home in North Harbour, Placentia Bay. Thank you so much for speaking with me today, Merv.
Hi, Carolyn. Thank you for reaching out. I appreciate it.
I'm so sorry to hear that you're going through this. Can you start by telling us how you're feeling?
Well, you know, it's a struggle, but I'm mucking through, if I could use that language. It's the best I can put forward right now. But, you know, I'm managing, trying to put a positive face, trying to put the happy face on this one. It's an adventure, no question, and not the one that I went looking for, but it's one that I have to deal with now. So I'm taking it day by day.
I mentioned that you're diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis, and for people who are unfamiliar with that disease, can you tell us about it?
Well, yeah, I've been diagnosed now for some time. It started out as hypersensitivity pneumonitis, which is the more industrial type of pulmonary fibrosis. There are many forms, but mine seemed to have been related to the environment that I worked in on the farm, you know, with fur farming over 40 years, with all the dust and all of the fur and things in the sheds and so on and so forth. That was the start of it, and it didn't get any better from there. It's a progressive disease, and it's a terminal disease.
So you say that you think that this came from your many years farming on the mink farm that you had. Tell me more about that.
The farming sector alone, it's very extensive. We have what we call a farmer's lung, we have a furrier's lung, a cotton lung, and, you know, I mean, that's not the true medical name of it, but it's been known. It's the hardening of the lung, and it's the fibrosis that sits in that prevents your lung from functioning properly. So, yes, I really believe that there's a lot of prevention, a lot of education and prevention that can be employed. And, you know, I want to say that if there's anything I can do, and I really feel that there's a mission here for me to do something and to talk about this as much as I can, to educate, and I get my legs under me again. I want to extend a lot of effort into seeing what I can do to contribute to that in my small way. But I really believe that the public in general and many people working in industry need to know a lot more about this, and I believe that there are certainly mitigating measures as well as prevention measures that could be applied, you know.
Tell us about the process of waiting for this double lung transplant. Do you have any sense how long it could take, and what are your expectations when you're there?
Oh boy, that's a good question. That's the main question, I think. You know, it's you leave home, of course, and everything is left behind. You have to live within 10 minutes drive of the hospital in Toronto, and you have to be ready for the calling, and you wait. I've heard from people that I talked to about their experience. One person that was there 13 months waiting, and you have to be there 3 months after surgery because rejection, organ rejection from your body may very well take place.
You mentioned about having to be 10 minutes drive from the hospital at all times. I guess that's 24 hours a day, just in case that phone call comes in and lungs are available. You need to be ready to move immediately.
Absolutely. You have to be ready to be there at the hospital within minutes, literally. The window of opportunity here is very small.
I talked about how you spent years advocating for better search and rescue services, which benefits, in particular, people who work on the water. Can you talk about the kind of support that you've been receiving? There's a GoFundMe set up for you. So tell us about that support, especially from those that have a connection to the fishery.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you asked that question. I think that's the most important thing of all, because the support has been absolutely, it's been so humbling, so overwhelming. But the uplifting that you get from all of that generosity, I was very reluctant when I was asked if they could post a GoFund. I certainly don't want to be seen, with a handout or anything. But the expenses are so horrendous. And the surprises along those lines, who knows the stress and anxiety with it. So I finally agreed I would, but it's the messages and the donations and everything that have come through to me personally and online, it's just incredible. I can't even come close to finding the language or finding the words that I need to express the kind of gratitude that needs to be expressed for that.
Well, I feel like your gratitude does come through loud and clear. Merv Wiseman, we wish you all the best and hope that you won't have long to wait for those new lungs. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure, and I appreciate your accommodation to deal with this one. And I really sincerely hope that others can benefit from this kind of an exchange and others that I'm sure will happen in the future.
Well, to national news now. With a trade war souring long-standing relations with the United States, more Canadians are wondering if the $19 billion purchase of American-built F-35 fighter jets can be stopped. Payment for the first 16 jets out of 88 has already been made. Prime Minister Mark Carney says his government is exploring potential alternatives.
Given the geopolitical environment, given the fact that there are options, given the need for value for money, given the possibility of having substantial production of alternative aircraft in Canada, as opposed to sending, as we have been, on average 80 cents of every dollar to the United States, it's prudent and in the interest of Canada to review those options. And that's what that's the process that the Defence Minister has initiated.
And that was Prime Minister Mark Carney there in London, where he's on his first international trip 3 days after taking office. He's looking to bolster relations with Europe amid the trade war with the U.S. Rosemary Barton has more from London.
The first stop on his first official trip came at the request of Canada's Prime Minister. Notre Dame Cathedral rebuilt from the ashes, a symbol of resilience. And resilience is exactly what Mark Carney is trying to build in the face of economic and territorial threats coming from the U.S. And so a return to Canada's European allies. Prime Minister Carney said he was not seeking for them to stand up for Canada, but some support still came. French President Emmanuel Macron denounced tariffs and encouraged free trade.
Parce que nous avons la conviction, et je crois que nous l'avons en commun, que nous sommes plus forts ensemble.
We are better when we are together, he said, better able to ensure our respected interests and our sovereignty. Macron's words were supportive but careful. He, like other world leaders, walking a fine line to not raise the ire of the U.S. president.
Canada is a reliable, trustworthy, and strong partner of France, which shares our values and lives them through action during this age of economic and geopolitical crises.
It's a great treat.
The King, who has been under some pressure to publicly defend Canada, offered no such change in his position. And the British Prime Minister, too, has been criticized for not saying more about Canada.
The relationship between our two countries has always been strong, to sovereign allies.
The Prime Minister says he does have the support of Canada's allies.
Look, I don't think one needs to respond to every comment about another country. Look, we can stand up for ourselves.
This trip was also intended to send a signal to the United States. No longer a trusted ally, Canada can find friends elsewhere. But the Prime Minister still needs to speak to Donald Trump, and we're told that could happen as early as this week. Rosemary Barton, CBC News, London.
So here's what we've gathered from talking to local residents.
I spoke with a renter who's facing eviction this fall.
It is not for the weak of stomachs.
What does it mean for you to be able to give that advice and to know that you've helped? Don't look down.
If this is something that you didn't know about, let me tell you.
Heather Gillis, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
St. John's.
Corner Brook.
Shaji, Inuk First Nation.
Grand Falls, Windsor.
New West Valley, Newfoundland and Labrador.
lot of celebrating in downtown St. John's over the weekend. Not only was it the lead up to St. Patrick's Day, but also the province's first drag awards were held. We went to the red carpet to see what it was all about.
We're having fun. It's like the Oscars of drag. This is the power of what we can do, and this is it tonight.
I'm nominated for the Lip Sync Assassin and Dripping Opulence.
Tell me a bit about what you're wearing tonight. What's happening here?
Just one word, Dripping Opulence, baby.
So I wanted to go for more like statuesque, like Grammy, like more metallic. So that's why I chose this gown.
So I did a snake print raincoat fabric, so I made all of this myself, giving like chic housewife.
Tonight I'm nominated for New and Emerging Drag Queen. I've performed in like 2 shows so far, so very new, very emerging.
Since Velvet closed recently, there's not really too many venues where new performers can really try and test out some of their drag. So we're really excited to showcase some of the new and emerging talent.
Hello everybody and welcome to the first ever Newfoundland Drag Awards!
I think we needed something like this for a very long time in the community. It's just going to bring out the confidence of everybody to work harder each year to win the award the following year.
And the winner of New and Emerging Drag Artist is the one, it is the only, it is Phoebe Bow! I wish I could dance a kind, but not.
When did you start drag?
About 7 months ago, August-ish, yeah.
And what's next for you?
Next is world domination. Yeah.
I am nominated for Most Authentic, dedicated to one of our dear friends, Ray Michaels, who recently passed away. They're a good friend of mine, so it would be really special to win that award.
Now, Ray Michaels was my drag daughter, but now this is Ray Michaels' biological mother.
I'm very proud to be here in drag as Storm. It's given me a connection that I needed, and it's going to help with my breathing. So thank you to everyone.
Most authentic drag artist is Ophelia Delight!
Recently, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the community, so it's nice to see everyone come back together and just get to show the art and the craft that we do.
This is what we've been pushing for so long. This is our time. This is our time where we're all together. We get to mingle, we get to drink a little, and we just get to have fun.
Yeah, like these are my people, these are my chosen family, so just being around everyone makes me very happy.
Give me one word to describe your feeling tonight.
There's so many.
Okay, just one though.
Love.
Time for a look at the long-range forecast. Here we are on Monday.
Yep.
Is there anything that you're looking at this week? Any systems you're keeping an eye on or anything at all down the pipe?
Yeah, so basically that front that's going to essentially stall out tomorrow and then drift further east is going to bring the potential for some freezing rain here in the metro area, at least on Wednesday. That's where most of the weather will be. Let's take a look at what's going on. The rest of the island, as we head into Wednesday morning, is actually going to be fairly quiet. The eastern half will be the one that sees most of the action. Up across Labrador, ridge of high pressure starting to build. Things will be quiet for you as well. But again, watching the potential. Now, there's a bit of disagreement at the moment as to exactly what we're going to see. But if there's a good chance by Wednesday morning, most of the northern Avalon parts back through, say, Bonavista, Terra Nova, potentially even Clarenville, seeing that potential for some freezing rain. And that will continue basically on the Avalon through the afternoon. Now, it doesn't look like it'll be too much. We're talking about less than 5 millimeters likely, but it's going to be enough that things will likely get a little slippery as we head into the afternoon. So keep that in mind for our Wednesday. Other than that, like I said, that ridge of high pressure essentially dominating the weather picture. Parts of Labrador are going to be absolutely beautiful through the day. A little on the cool side, though, hanging out around zero or a little bit below for most of the Big Land. Northern Peninsula, same thing. And then temperatures across the island will be a little different depending on where you are. The Burin Peninsula likely and along the south coast, likely seeing those temperatures around 5 or 6 degrees, hovering around zero, hence that potential for some freezing rain across the Avalon, and a little bit below there for the central areas. And then the Northern Peninsula, like I said, minus single digits will be the story for you. As we look ahead to Thursday, that ridge of high pressure dominating again. However, it does look like we'll see some drizzle for the Avalon. Keep that in mind. Temperatures a little cooler, hovering around the 2-degree mark. Otherwise, temperatures 6 to 8 degrees for most of the island, with the exception of the Northern Peninsula, where you again will hover around the 0-degree mark. And then anywhere from -4 in Nain to +6 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. So this is when the forecasts really depend on where you are across the province as far as those temperatures go. The long range forecast showing again another bit of a warm up as we head towards Friday and Saturday, although we are looking at more unsettled conditions with the chance of some rain in the mix. That will be the story for central and western Newfoundland, although temperatures will be a little warmer, double digits, just barely 10 to 11 degrees as your daytime highs. And then for eastern Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures staying above zero as we get into Saturday, and then a little bit above zero for western Labrador, dropping back down by the time we get to the weekend. Our weather photo today taken in Whitburn. Take a look at this great shot, obviously just after a little snowfall, but an early morning sunshine there from Rocky River. Thank you to Wayne for that. If you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, we love seeing them and we love to show them on our show. So send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Thank you for that, Wayne. That is a beautiful shot, nice and bright and crisp looking. I'm liking the look of the temperatures over the next 5. It's everything above zero.
Yep.
We're 0 and above.
For now, yeah, looking like we'll drop a little bit on the backside of that, but we'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.